In the spotlight tonight, Ralph Nader wants to challenge President Obama in a Democratic presidential primary. Nader doesn't want to run himself, but he is hoping to find a slate of liberal candidates to campaign against the president for the Democratic nomination. In a statement today, Nader said, without primary challengers, President Obama will never have to seriously articulate and defend his beliefs to his own party. Given the dangers our nation faces, that option is unacceptable. On the Republican side, Donald Trump is reveling in his role as he who must be revered in the Republican presidential primary field. After Rick Perry came to New York last week to kiss Trump's rings, Team Trump announced that Mitt Romney is on his way to New York next week to kiss Trump's cufflinks or whatever's left to kiss. But the Romney campaign has not confirmed that Romney has yet sunk so low as to seek an audience with his Trumpness. Republican candidates are not as stupid as they seem on the Trump front. They know Donald Trump is a politically powerless object of ridicule who has no electoral following. But Donald Trump does have access to media microphones whenever he chooses, and the candidates know that if they show him respect, he is easily co-opted and unlikely to then attack them publicly. There is no one left on television who can bear Donald continuing to pretend he might ever run for president, so Donald has taken to websites to spout that particular lunacy.
If the Republicans pick the wrong candidate, and that could happen, and if the economy continues to be bad, which I'm almost sure will happen because we have very poor leadership, I would certainly think about running as an independent.
Joining me now, MSNBC contributor Jonathan Capehart, opinion writer for The Washington Post and senior Trump correspondent here at The Last Word. Jonathan, let's start with Ralph Nader, because this is a new development. This notion of he actually wants to get a bunch of liberal candidates to challenge the president, and I guess it would be his hope that they would somehow end up on a televised debate stage where they would be challenging the president from the left on all of his policies, and the president would have to defend them. What are the chances of that happening?
Oh, well, I was going to ask, who are these people who want to sign up for this, what would basically be a suicide mission? You're going to run against a sitting U.S. president, a member of, reputedly, of your own party, further damaging that person. I mean, can you imagine who would have the guts to go after President Obama when the economy is so bad, when he is finally taking, visibly taking the fight to the Republicans? Who's going to have the guts to do that? I can't wait to see who that person is, and who's going to heed the call from Ralph Nader of all people.
Well, if it isn't Ralph Nader, who absolutely has had the guts to do that kind of thing in the past, I don't see.
Look what it got us.
I don't see who's there. I mean, it certainly isn't anyone I think that we've actually heard of, because everybody that you could think of to the left of the president has already said that they wouldn't do it. Right. Let's get over to Donald Trump and the Republicans. He has become a mandatory stop. My theory is they're doing this just so Donald can have dinner with them. They can charm him. And then when Donald is on some Fox News show or something, he won't say negative things about him. It's just to try to quiet Donald down about them.
Well, look, if you talk to Donald Trump, as I have, he will tell, as I do, he will tell you that, he quotes the Newsmax piece that says Trump has become his own Iowa, a must-see person on the campaign trail for Republican candidates. Donald Trump will tell you that they come to him not because they ask him for money. He says that Rick Perry hasn't asked him for money. Michelle Bachmann hasn't asked him for money. But what they're looking for is his endorsement. Because, according to Donald Trump, he taps into that energy and angst and anger within the American populace over what's happening to the economy, what's happening with jobs, and particularly he says they love what he has to say about China and how China is, quote, ripping us off.
All right, let's listen to what Donald said about Romney on Good Morning America.
If you look at his record as governor, it wasn't totally stellar. His job production was not great at all. In fact, it was the third worst in the nation. There are some pretty negative things with respect to Mitt Romney, which, frankly, he's going to have to overcome.
See, that, I think, is what it's about for Romney, is that here's a guy who has access to Good Morning America, which is where the voters are, the Today Show, those kinds of shows. He has access to it. He can say things like that, which will be very damaging to Romney, and Romney just needs to shut him up. It isn't about, will you endorse me? It's just, would you please stop saying mean things about me?
Right. Well, hey, let's have a dinner, not at that pizza place, but maybe at Jean-Georges or some other restaurant, so I can talk to you, Mr. Trump, about what it is, what my plans are for the country, how I'm going to run this race, and to convince you that if you're not going to endorse me, to at least stand down either in terms of your criticism or for a potential independent bid for president, which you have said, and I believe, he ultimately won't end up doing.
Jonathan Capehart, MSNBC contributor and opinion writer for The Washington Post, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks,
Jonathan.
Lawrence.